Hello, this is the Daily Forex Report for July 29th. We are looking at the U.S.-Japanese yen pair first. This particular pair closed lower today, still within its range, overall moving sideways. Look for it to potentially go as high as 87.95, possibly as low as 86.00. Look for some resistance around 87.25 and look for some support around 86.50. Now let's take a look at the Euro USD pair. This pair closed higher, broke through previous resistance, is moving higher, biased to the upside. Look for it to potentially go as high as 131.77, possibly as low as 128.93. Look for some resistance around 131.25 and look for some support around 130.45. Now looking at the pound US dollar pair, it continues to move to the upside. Closed higher, didn't close above the previous session's high though. Definitely looking for it to continue to the upside. Look for it to potentially go as high as 157.45, possibly as low as 154.85. Look for some resistance around 156.75 and look for some support around 155.43. Now the US-Swiss, this particular pair had a very strong day to the downside, broke through previous support, but did not close below it. So overall still moving sideways, looking for a close below it, and it should go lower at that point. Look for it to potentially go to 106.43 on a pullback. Look for it to go down to 103.13 to the downside. Look for some resistance around 104.50 and look for some support around 103.75. Now, as far as news announcements go, we have the U.S. releasing their gross domestic product for the second quarter at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Consensus on that is that it's dropped from 2.7% to 2.5%, so which would be, of course, negative news for the U.S. dollar overall. Let me show you what I'm looking at here. We have the U.S.-Swiss. If you back out a little ways, you can kind of see we have somewhat of a head and shoulders formation occurring, although this isn't much of a pullback for the other shoulder. But nonetheless, if you take this low and draw your trend line, you'll have a good idea of where you can look for a potential breakout so that if it does go to that point, you'll be able to take advantage of it. Let me draw a trend line here. You'll see what I mean. And if you go back a little bit further, the next real area of resistance, if you see we had some resistance here, and that's where we found some support in that same area. We had support here, had a little bit of resistance and found a sideways market where we had previous support and resistance. If you look down here, we've had support, 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 resistance. So I do believe if we get a break of this trend line, it's going to come on down, I believe, to this area. That particular move would be several hundreds of pips to the downside, just to show you kind of what that looks like. It's about 240 pips, and you wouldn't have to use but maybe 100 pips stop loss on this, so your risk to reward would be really good for this trade if it were to move to the downside. So this is kind of what I'm looking at over the next several sessions. If we get another strong move down tomorrow, it could go ahead and trigger this, basically looking for it to move to the downside. Just to get an overview of things a little bit long term, you can see that the pound US dollar pair, I know a lot of times I look very micro, looking very close up, but looking out a little bit further has value as well. You can see that this pair is continuing to move strongly to the upside, and it's broken through a key area of resistance. And our next area, we do have to be cognizant of the fact that we're getting into an area of a sideways market previously, so it may teeter around here before moving even higher up to this point. So that's something definitely to keep in mind. Now, the Euro USD, not quite as smooth of a move to the upside, but fairly strong as well. Nice thing about that is we haven't quite hit the next area of support that would now be resistance. So we still have another 200 pips or so to go to the upside. So definitely look for that to occur over the next couple of sessions, especially on Friday. You know, if our news announcement for the gross domestic product comes out worse than expected for the U.S. dollar, we could definitely see that impact the U.S. dollar negatively in a very strong and real way. Now, as far as the U.S.-Japanese yen pair, it's been moving down pretty strong as well. We have been moving in a sideways market. If we get a break of this trend line, though, I do believe we will come on down to this low and test it. So there is opportunity between this low and the break of our current trend line. It would probably take a session or so to get down there and then look for the breakout, be able to grab probably another 150 pips out of that move as well. Well, that about does it for today. Until next time, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.